And we will move to the LDC meeting. Okay. So, Jasmine, could you please take a roll call for the LDC?
Tim Dean,
Here.
Mark Doyle,
Here.
Kathy Bauer,
Here.
Amy Bondieri,
Here.
Amy Capone,
Here.
Don Sagliano,
Here.
Al Torriani.
Here.
I'm sorry, did we take an adequate enough break in between?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Conflict of interest disclosure. Again, if there's anybody that on the board that has a conflict with anything coming before us, I would ask that you state that now and what the conflict is. Okay, I don't hear any. If one comes up during the meeting, please let us know. Sarah, proof of meeting notice is posted?
Yes.
Okay, any bills and communications?
No.
All right,
But I do would request that item number 9 be moved up before item number 6.
sure. Okay, do that. All right, so we do have approval of minutes from a September 8th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read those, and are there any corrections or changes that are needed? Okay, and if there are not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Don.
Second.
Thank you, Al. Jasmine, could you please take a vote?
Al Torriani,
Approved.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Amy Capone,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approve.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. Okay, so we are going to move up item number 9, which we also discussed in the other meeting. We have the new CFO, Jane Denbaum, and we would like to actually formally approve her as the CFO for the LDC, also compliance officer and records access officer. If I could get a motion to approve those all at once.
So moved.
Thank you, Al. Could I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All right.
Can you cover item 10 since it's pretty much?
Yes, we could probably do that. Is that okay?
It's right there, right?
Sure, so the other part of that, I'm going to amend the request to include approval for check signing as of October 13th for Jane Denbaum as the CFO. So,
I'll second your amendment.
thank you. Okay. Could you take a vote, please, Jasmine?
Vote on the amendment
Vote on the
first,
amendment.
then vote on the,
Oh, I'm sorry. So we'll vote on the amendment. So if you could take that vote first, please.
Al Torriani,
Approved.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Amy Capone,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. Okay, now that we've amended it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go, no, go.
We will now take a vote on the amended motion. Do we need a second on that, or we're good?
Oh,
Okay.
very good.
All right, Jasmine.
Al Torriani,
Approved.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Amy Capone,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved.
And then also, as part of her appointment, the board does need to approve her salary and her benefit.
Yes.
So Jane's salary.
So Jane's salary.
Answer's approved, right? Answer's approved. Well, what was Gap's number there?
Jane's salary is 85,000 with benefits up to 18,000 if all are exercised. I will need a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, and we'll take a vote on that, Jasmine.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Amy Capone,
Approved.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Al Torriani,
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. And I apologize for the order of those. It probably would have been more appropriate to have all of you know that ahead of time. I will tell you that Sarah and I had discussed it ahead of time, and I was aware of it being within the range that we would expect. Okay, so that is done. All right, so now we can go to the report of the treasurer. Jane?
Okay. Looking at the balance sheet, there's cash of $2.9 million. There's a receivable of $170,000. That's the first and second quarter reimbursement from Dutchess County. There's 37,000 in accounts payable, which is the payroll that was paid on 10/1 of 22,000, and a DCI invoice of 14,000.
Just clarification, the cash is 2,000,008 and the accounts receivable.
Oh, I'm sorry.
170. Correct the minutes.
Okay, do we want to move right to the budget, I guess? right?
And I just,
We're going to do the financial income statement?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Remember?
Going without that, I apologize.
There's income of 552,000, total expenses of 714,000, with a net loss of 162,000.
That's page one of our profit and loss budget versus actual.
So in looking at the balance sheet, receivable from Dutchess County is how much? $169,000?
Correct.
And that's the exact amount that's in the revenue,
Correct.
okay?
There's
And
only
is-
the 2 quarters in there.
Yep, and is there any anticipation when they'll be remitting that money over to us?
so I anticipate that it'll be soon. We got clarification earlier this week on how, there was question of whether our current service contract with the county would include the ARP money or not.
ARP.
ARP, the American Relief Plan funds that we are to get up to $300,000 to enact some new programming. I got clarification earlier this week that our current county service contract will stay intact and that there'll be a separate contract for those ARP dollars. So now that we have received confirmation from the county controller on that, we expect that our county funds will be released.
Right, and those funds are for the small business, like incubator, entrepreneurial.
Correct. Yeah, the 300,000, yes,
Right.
correct.
Okay. Any other questions about the P&L income statement? Okay. All right, so then let's move on to the budget presentation.
Okay. So we'll start with the year-end numbers for this year, 2021. The administrative fees, we're anticipating 311,000. That's based on 3 projects closing within the year. The application fees is a little bit higher at 2,250, based on our increase that we put into our schedule earlier in the year. No compliance fees, the Dutchess County budget that we basically just talked about a little bit was originally budgeted for 338,000. That's at 438,000, with 100,000 of that being from the American Relief Plan funding. Private sector, I'm sorry, I skipped over the IDA contract of 150,000, which remains flat year over year. The private sector of 32,000, that's from our scheduled Business Excellent Awards. We have just changed that over to a video awards. We're not going to do the in-person. 32,000 is the sponsorships that we've collected so far. The sponsors are going to get benefits from the video presentation this year, and then an in-person event planned for next year, which I'll get into when we get into the 22 budget. Then we have the rent from the Workforce Investment Board. We're getting a little bit more than we had anticipated in our budget at 33,000. Part of that was rent increased from the year 2020. The WIB did not approve it with their board until this year being paid, so we're getting the extra funds in this year. And then the interest, again, is lower than anticipated because rates went down. You'll see it, we did slightly increase it for next year, only because we plan on having a little bit more money in the accounts, not necessarily getting a better interest rate. And that is the income that we have for this year.
Question about
Yes.
the 32,000 for the event. You said that some benefit for the sponsors is gonna be next year.
also,
So
yes.
are you going to, how is that gonna be allocated next year?
So, we are allocating, a portion of that sponsorship, because we anticipate the spring event to be an in-person event. So basically the ticket price, that they would be paying as part of their sponsorship gets transferred into the following year. And Kathy will talk about it when in 2022, we see an increase in our, private sector to account for that
Okay, so,
application.
okay. They're in different different budget years or?
Yes, they're
Okay.
different budget years.
All right.
Okay, so continuing on with the 2021 expenses, our audit was 12,700 as our contract with RBT. Board is lowered a little bit to 500. Our computer consulting is expected to be at 12,000. Dues and sponsorship and publications, that is our yearly subscriptions for our cost benefit analysis program, our CRM, our business intelligence program, education and training, it was 2,000, equipment was 1,000. Events and expenses, that is the video production for our Business Excellence Awards. We still have to pay for that, obviously. And then where am I? The insurance was at 4,000 is what we budgeted. And the LDC loan reserve fund we had budgeted 135,000, but we didn't have any businesses that we actually had to use that for. Marketing is at 140,000. That is, again, goes back to the American Relief funding plan with the county. So that is why that is so much higher. So you see the income up top and then the expense for it is down below. Miscellaneous is right where it should be. Office supplies is a little bit lower than budgeted. Payroll, that is increased slightly because of our part-time marketing assistant, and that is also part of the American Relief Plan funding that is paid for by the county. Payroll taxes, obviously we have to pay that. Payroll fringe is slightly lower because not all the employees took the full 18,000 benefit package that we give to them. And then phone usage is down a little bit. Postage is down a little bit. Printing is down slightly. Professional in-kind services, that is our staff line, our attorneys, video recording for any of our meetings that we have here and at the public hearings. And the professional service contract, the 215,000 you see below is our marketing and our WEDC. And let's see, rent is our rent with Guardian Storage. And trade shows, we didn't go to as many trade shows. There weren't as many in-person events, and then travel and expenditures. So we had anticipated a loss of 312,000, and the loss is 189,000 that we anticipate at the end of the year. Anybody questions, Sarah? Did I miss anything? Anything I should highlight?
The LDC admin fees, does that include the CIA?
Yes.
I think that's coming.
Yep.
The events TD produced, again, just for clarification, I see, we budgeted 2020 was 13.
Right.
Budgeted 25, it was 20, but not 50. So what's the reason
25.
for the,
Well, we're in year 2021 this year.
right, so,
So for
didn't get
next
the
year, we
20.
have more events.
okay, that's what I wanted.
Yes.
All right,
Okay. All right, so next year. Okay, so for 2022, administrative fees, we're anticipating 3 projects closing. That's just historical projects closing, with applications of 3. And then compliance will have possibly 2 projects that we'll have to comply with the compliance fee. The Dutchess County will be our normal, we're gonna ask for our full funding that we normally get of the 451,000 and the other 200,000 under the American Relief Plans. So that's where we come up with the 651,000. We'll still have our contract with the IDA of 150,000. Now, our private event, in sector line item 6, we're planning 3 events. We'll have the spring networking event, the Business Excellence Awards event, and an innovation showcase event. So that's where we're getting the 70,000 that we hope to raise with sponsorships and donations. Our rent with the Workforce Investment Board will be the 30,000. And like I said, we might have some extra balances in the accounts, interest levels remaining flat, hoping to get 5,000 in interest from our bank accounts. So with the total revenue of 1.285, almost 1.3 million. For expenditures, our audit is our contract with RBT at 12,009, board expenses of 1,000. Computer consulting is still going to remain at 12,000. Dues and subscription, we went slightly higher with that because of cost benefit program that we have to go out and find with ours expiring. Education and training is 4,000, equipment at 2,000. And then here's the events to be produced. Since we're having 3 events, there'll be higher expenses at $50,000. Insurance will remain flat. Marketing at 166,000. That will be a talent attraction campaign and expansion of our entrepreneurial programs.
Are we getting funding for that through that
Yes.
other program? Good.
Yes.
Miscellaneous depreciation, that's just historical at that number. Office supplies around 5,000. Payroll. We are putting in a request for 441,000. Part of it was in last year, staff did not receive an increase. We're budgeting for the increase. It does not mean the board is approving the increase at this point in time. But we are just budgeting for it. And then that can be discussed at a later meeting. And the payroll tax will coincide with that. And the payroll fringe of 108,000 is assuming that all the employees take the full benefit of 18,000. Phone usage is flat, postage, printing. And then professional services would be staff line, our attorney, and video recording for any of our meetings and public hearings. Professional service contracts, we have the 40,000, which is the American Relief Fund, 200,000 for the marketing, and the WEDC at 15,000. Rent, again, is our Guardian Storage, trade shows. We're hoping to get to actual in-person trade shows for the upcoming year, and the corresponding meeting and travel expenses for in-person events again. And we be slightly over break even at $7,000.
Questions?
Could I ask a little bit about marketing? In that, so we have on line 20 marketing, let's say for 2022, 166,000, and then under professional service contracts, another 200,000. Could you give us a bit more detail on whether these are direct expenses or using consultants, other companies? How's this breakout?
So it's a little bit of both. So part of it is, one thing also too is in payroll that also accounts for hiring of a part-time marketing assistant, which is also covered with those funds. So we're expecting some of the talent attraction and some of the entrepreneur services we will do internally administrative, and part of it will be outsourcing it to other entities.
So within the marketing budget, how much of that is internal versus external?
So part of it is Actually, a bulk of that actually is we are going to be revamping our website to include a talent attraction module
Okay.
and capacity. So that is what I call internal. But we have to hire an external person to do our website. So
So we did go from a budgeted 45 to 140. Again, is that,
So that 100 is that micro marketing program.
That's what I'm getting at.
That we're using the ARP money from. And so if you see at the top again, our income. is-
so that was a program we were asked to do.
Yes,
And
yes.
so we received revenue from the county through this, is it through a grant they got?
Yes, through a grant they got. So we didn't receive it yet.
Federal-
Yes.
the American Rescue Plan,
Right.
proceeds.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So we're actually, we're the contractor, in effect, that the county has asked to help them to achieve this goal.
Right.
So the revenue offsets the expenses.
Yes, 100,000 in this year and
Yeah.
200,000 in '22.
Okay. And then under the professional service contracts, Sarah, you mentioned that's where you are picking up the part-time. Is that where you're?
No,
sorry, that's
So
not.
that's not. So under payroll, you'll see it's up hot,
Right.
slightly higher, and that is accounts for that part-time person. But again, covered under the grant. And then the accelerator at 40,000 is most likely that is going to be an RFP for an entity to provide what I would call startup accelerator services.
And are we receiving funding for that as well?
Yes, that is part of the scope of the ARP money.
Okay. All right. Mark, did that help?
Sure. All right. And so is there a principal contractor for, external marketing components that we're using again? Is this our?
215, you mean? Under the 255,000 item, is that what you're referring to?
correct.
Yeah, I think that's.
What's the bulk of that go to?
So 200,000 or 215 goes to DCI.
Okay, I was wondering, I hadn't heard the name and I was wondering.
Okay, Don, segment.
Okay, so, you have the item number 29, professional service
Oh.
contracts. You gotta change the number. It should be 30. Okay? Or actually 31.
31.
So I'm just trying to follow the cash flow here. So you have $100,000 that's coming from Dutchess County in the estimate for 2021 year end. That's why the year end estimate is 438,250. It's offset by the 100,000 going into line 20 for marketing. Is that correct?
No, so 95. So because we predicted 45.
No, yeah, but so you got the $100,000 worth of revenue coming from the county for the ARP plan to the end of 2021.
Yes.
And the $100,000 of expenses estimated, projected, intended is on line 20, right?
Correct. The marketing.
95,000 of that. The other
So where's the other
5,000 goes to
5,000?
the part-time marketing person.
Okay, all right, so that's the flow, that's the projection for 2021. So in 2022, you have an estimate of $200,000 of rescue funds coming from the county. That's why we're going from 438 to a proposal budget forecast of 651, right? So
Correct.
there's 200,000 in there.
Correct.
So where does that 200,000 come out on the profit, on the expenditure side?
So part of it is captured on line 20 for marketing.
Okay, how much is that on line 20 for marketing then? So we got 200 coming in. Where does it go? What lines is it on?
So you have it under 20 and then under payroll for the part-time
Okay,
person, and then the accelerator.
so the accelerator is part of the 40, it's part of the 200.
Correct.
Where's
Okay,
that?
okay.
Where's that?
And that's down under professional service.
Ah, got it.
40,
Okay.
And
Okay.
then the payroll, as well as the related taxes that we need to pay for that
Part-time.
part-time person, and then marketing. So if you take out all those three, it'll add up to that 200,000.
So the sources is the 200 and the uses are 40,000 in a to be determined accelerator, which is going to be an RFP. So now we're left with 160,000 that left for the use, and that's in marketing, and then there's some in payroll.
Yes.
Okay, and do you have those? You have
I don't
that?
have the exact
Well, it's okay.
numbers, but I can,
Okay, all right,
Good,
good.
yeah.
But it
it all flushes out to that
Okay.
200,000.
Okay.
That's what the accountants want to know,
Yes.
Yes.
right?
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean that in a bad way at all. No, that's,
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, what's next?
All right, now we have the 5-year projection. We have to make some corrections on the sheet.
Yeah.
It says adopted, some of it on the top. It's not, it's proposed.
Oh, so we have a new,
Yeah,
okay, so
Okay.
okay.
if there are people that are participating remotely, they do not have this.
They do not have
Okay,
it,
but
yeah.
I will highlight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so under the year 2022, under operating expenditures, salaries, if your sheet has not been corrected, it should be 481,414, not the 458.
That's under expenditure.
Expenditures under 2022. And then other should be 388,490, not 411. And it still comes out to the same dollar amount. There was just problem with the program.
Okay,
And that is it. Everything from the 2022 year, I mean, some of it's consolidated as to how it goes from the one program to the other. And then going across the board to then the next 3 years, the drop from 2022 to 2023 in the revenue contract, where it says service contract revenue, is there's no more ARP money from the county. So that's why you see go from 831 to 632,000. And that is pretty much it. Everything was just carried across down the next 3 years, very conservatively, based on our conservative natures.
so the original sheet had a projected year-end fund balance at the bottom of it. These
Yeah.
corrections do not affect that.
Correct. It
Correct.
was just the, in the spreadsheet, origin spreadsheet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, just so everybody can see what effect these budgets have on our projected fund balance. It's always something that we're worried about, is, how will they carry if we have deficits?
Right.
So, as you can see, ours will, based on these results, ours would continue to drop over each year. We're very conservative, so hopefully that will not occur.
Okay.
But that has enabled us in past years to grant relief, as you guys may recall, to you guys and gals, to the county at certain times.
Do we need to adopt the budget?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the budget.
Second.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Don. Okay, Jasmine.
Mark Doyle,
Yes, approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Amy Bonadero,
Approved.
James McCollum,
Approved.
John Sagliano,
Approved.
Al Torriani,
Approved.
Cindy.
Approved. All right, let's see. I think that's everything. I would like to thank everybody for your passion and your willingness to question. I think that's our role, and I appreciate it very much. With that, I think we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I got to sign.
Yeah, you got.
I got lots of signing.
All right.